a fragmented mind housing distinct personas, each emerging in response to pain, rage, and survival. But what if the Hulk isn't just one monster, fueled by rage and anger? What if he's a psychological system mirroring a real-world mental condition? Today, we're revisiting the fractured mind of Bruce Banner. The Hulk isn't just one raging monster, he's many. In this video, we're only going to explore the ones I deem most interesting. Each persona represents a different response to trauma, a psychological survival mechanism hidden beneath layers of rage and power. But what do these Hulks say about the human mind? And what deeper truths do they reveal about ourselves? Let's find out. Welcome to Unmasked. In psychology, dissociative identity disorder, or DID, is a condition where an individual develops multiple distinct identities, also known as alters, often as a response to severe childhood trauma. Bruce Banner's history of abuse at the hands of his father makes him a textbook case. His different Hulks aren't just random manifestations, they're defenses, each serving a unique role in his survival. To truly understand Bruce, we have to explore the alters within his fractured psyche, starting with the one who tries to hold it all together. Bruce Banner, the host. Bruce is the core identity, the original self who struggles to function in society. He's highly intelligent but emotionally fragile, constantly burdened by fear, guilt, and repression. He tries to suppress the other alters, attempting to maintain a normal life. But when his emotions become too overwhelming, the system overwrites him, and a different persona emerges. From a Freudian perspective, Bruce represents the ego, the rational self that tries to balance the demands of the world, and the primal urges buried deep within him. His struggle to contain the Hulk mirrors the psychological battle between control and chaos. The Savage Hulk, the Protector, the Child Alter. Savage Hulk is the most well-known version, the one who roars, Hulk smash. But why does he act like a child? Savage Hulk is Bruce's inner child, frozen at the age when his trauma began. He speaks in simple sentences, sees the world in black and white, and reacts with overwhelming emotions. In many DID cases, childhood trauma results in age-regressed alters, and Savage Hulk is a perfect representation of this. He exists to protect Bruce, taking control when he feels threatened or overwhelmed. In Jungian terms, Savage Hulk is the manifestation of Bruce's shadow, the primal, repressed side of his psyche. Society teaches us to suppress our most instinctual emotions, but Savage Hulk is the rawest form of self-expression, embodying both innocence and uncontrollable rage. The Grey Hulk, or Joe Fixit, the persecutor, survivor alter. But not every Hulk is driven by rage. Some are cunning, calculating, and morally flexible. Grey Hulk, also known as Joe Fixit, is Bruce's self-serving survivor alter. Unlike the childlike Savage Hulk, Joe is intelligent, sarcastic, and manipulative. He embodies Bruce's repressed desires for confidence and control, things Bruce could never have as a scared child. Often, persecutor alters in DID systems exhibit self-destructive behavior, and Joe Fixit fits that mold perfectly. He emerges in situations where Bruce needs to be street smart, tough, and, above all, in charge. Freud might interpret Grey Hulk as the unchecked id, driven by impulse and self-indulgence. He's the side of Bruce that embraces personal gain and rejects societal constraints, revealing the conflict between moral responsibility and personal desire. Professor Hulk, the integrated social alter. What happens when Bruce tries to merge his fractured selves into one? We get Professor Hulk. Professor Hulk is a fusion of Bruce's intellect and Hulk's strength. He represents an attempt at integration, a process in DID therapy where alters work together rather than compete for control. He's the most balanced of the Hulk personas, capable of leading a stable life, but he's not immune to the deep fractures in Bruce's psyche. This version of Hulk represents the individuation process in Jungian psychology, where different parts of the self integrate into a more complete being. However, full integration is difficult, and Bruce's struggle with this persona reflects the challenge of balancing intellect and instinct. World-breaker Hulk, the apocalyptic force. But when the suffering turns into pure, unrelenting wrath, we get World-breaker Hulk. World-breaker Hulk is the final evolution of Hulk's rage, the embodiment of unstoppable destruction. Unlike other versions of Hulk, who have emotional triggers, World-breaker Hulk is not just angry, he's vengeful. When Bruce reaches a breaking point, when his pain can no longer be contained, he becomes something that defies all logic and restraint. Psychologically, World-breaker Hulk is a manifestation of catalysmic rage, the extreme consequence of deep-seated trauma and loss. He represents the tipping point when a person who has endured too much pain stops holding back and allows their emotions to consume everything around them. From a Freudian perspective, he's the complete dominance of the id, a being with no moral restraints, no limitations, and no desires for balance. He's pure, apocalyptic power unleashed. Guilt Hulk, the abusive father alter. But for every monster Bruce fears becoming, there is one he fears even more, the one he already knew. Guilt Hulk is a terrifying manifestation of Bruce's father, Brian Banner. Unlike Bruce's other alters, this one does not exist to protect him. It exists to torment him. Guilt Hulk is the voice of every cruel word Bruce ever heard, the embodiment of every scar left on his mind by his father's abuse. In DID cases, it's not uncommon for an alter to take on the identity of an abuser. Guilt Hulk is Bruce's deepest trauma personified, an inner demon that seeks to take control of his body, to continue the cycle of pain and destruction that Brian Banner started. Where other Hulks emerges to protect Bruce, Guilt Hulk exists to break him. Psychologically, Guilt Hulk represents Bruce's internalized self-hatred. Many victims of abuse struggle with feeling of guilt, as if they somehow deserve their suffering. This Hulk is the living embodiment of that toxic belief, a shadow that whispers in Bruce's ear that he's not worthy of peace. But there's another side to this battle. Devil Hulk, Immortal Hulk, the Dark Protector alter. For every demon Bruce fears, there's one he longs for. If Guilt Hulk is the father Bruce had, then Devil Hulk is the father he always wanted. Devil Hulk is not a monster of destruction. He's a monster of vengeance and protection. Unlike Savage Hulk, who reacts with childlike fear, or Grey Hulk, who seeks self-preservation, Devil Hulk is a calculated force of retribution. He emerges, not to smash, but to punish those who would harm Bruce. He's the embodiment of every suppressed urge Bruce has ever had to fight back against his abusers. This is what makes Devil Hulk so unique. He's not Bruce's enemy. He despises those who hurt Bruce and wants nothing more than to shield him from suffering. But his methods are ruthless. He doesn't just want to protect Bruce. He wants to ensure that no one will ever dare harm him again. And this brings us to the Immortal Hulk, the physical manifestation of the Devil Hulk. Immortal Hulk is not a new alter, but the Devil Hulk fully realized. He's the complete merge of Bruce's pain and vengeance into a being that cannot be stopped. Unlike the other Hulks, he does not simply emerge from rage. He emerges from death itself. No matter how many times Bruce dies, Immortal Hulk rises again, unyielding, unstoppable. Freud's concept of thanatos, the death drive, is fully embodied in the Immortal Hulk. He represents Bruce's unconscious belief that destruction and rebirth are the only constants in his life. He is Bruce's ultimate response to trauma, a being that cannot die because suffering itself has become his foundation. The Maestro, the Tyrant King alter. But what happens when power, intelligence, and rage are left unchecked? What if Bruce Banner embraced his darkest impulses and abandoned his humanity? Enter the Maestro. Maestro is a future version of the Hulk who has survived multiple apocalyptic events, growing in power while losing any trace of moral restraint. He is Bruce's worst-case scenario, an alter that represents what happens when pain, trauma, and survival instincts turn into pure dominance and control. In DID systems, some alters emerges as persecutors, figures who inflict harm on the system itself, believing it to be a necessary evil. The Maestro is the concept taken to its extreme. Unlike the Devil Hulk, who seeks to protect Bruce, Maestro seeks to rule through absolute power. He represents the seductive nature of strength without morality. From a psychological perspective, Maestro is a cautionary tale about unchecked trauma. If left unresolved, pain can transform into cruelty, and survival can turn into tyranny. He is what happens when Bruce stops fighting to control the Hulk and instead gives in completely. No longer a victim, but a conqueror. Bruce Banner's story isn't just about rage, it's about survival. His alters, his Hulks, each serve a purpose, just as alters in real-world DID systems do. Some protect, some fight, some self-destruct, but all of them exist to help Bruce endure. They're not just different versions of the Hulk. They're the shattered pieces of a man trying to survive his own mind. From a Jungian perspective, Bruce's journey is the battle between self-acceptance and repression. His Hulks are the raw, unfiltered parts of himself that society rejects, and that is why the Hulk resonates so deeply with us. He's the embodiment of our own struggle to balance instinct and reason, anger and control, destruction and healing. So the next time you see the Hulk smashing, remember, he isn't just angry, he's trying to survive.